Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UEE Defiance, gazing at the stars beyond the wide viewport. His vessel was the finest ship Earth had ever constructed, symbol of humanity's aspirations as they journeyed to visit their alien friends on New Valerin. Jake had served as a soldier for 2 decades, fighting wars on Earth and helping to chart the stars. But nothing had prepared him for what this day held. The Valerins were humanity's first true alien allies, humanoid. In shape, yet their skin shimmered like crystal under light. They were a gentle, curious people, devoted to knowledge and peace. "Captain, we're approaching New Valerin," announced Lieutenant Sam Brooks from his console. Sam was young, but exceptionally talented, managing the ship's communications and sensors. "Good. Open a channel to the planet," Jake commanded, eager to speak with Elder Zoll, the Valerin leader who had come to feel like a father figure. But no reply came. Only static. Dr. Karen White, the ship's doctor and xenobiology expert, frowned. "That's odd. The Valerins always respond immediately. They love hearing from us." Just then, Admiral Lisa Grant entered the bridge, her expression grim. As the highest-ranking officer on board, she was also Jake's direct superior. "Captain Earth Command just relayed a message. They intercepted a distress signal from New Valerin 3 days ago." After that silence, Jake felt a knot tighten in his gut. "Take us closer, but keep everyone alert," he ordered. The Defiance advanced through space toward the vibrant blue and green sphere that had been the Valerins' world for millennia. As they drew near, Jake saw the horror for himself. Enormous black scars marred the planet's surface. Smoke curled up from the ruins of once beautiful cities. The radiant crystal towers that had gleamed in sunlight were gone, reduced to wreckage. "My God," Dr. White whispered. "What could have done this?" Commander Alex Rodriguez arrived on the bridge. Jake's trusted second-in-command and closest friend from countless battles. "Sir, I'm not detecting any life signs. The planet's dead." Jake's fists clenched with rage. "Assemble a landing." "Team, we're going down." "Captain, that could be dangerous," Admiral Grant cautioned. "I don't care. They were our friends. We need to know what happened." 2 hours later, Jake stood amid the devastated capital, Tar. His boots crunched over shards of crystal and ash. The air was thick with smoke and the scent of death. Rodriguez, Dr. White, and 10 soldiers flanked him. He remembered this place vividly. Only a year ago, crystal spires had soared like frozen symphonies. Exotic gardens flourished everywhere, and Valerin children's laughter echoed between the gleaming walls. Now everything was burned and shattered, near the ruins of a school. Jake found a child's body no more than 10. The Valerin's crystalline skin was fractured and blackened. Jake knelt and gently closed the child's eyes. They didn't even resist. Dr. White murmured, while examining another corpse. "These are energy weapon, Burns military grade. But there are no weapons here, no signs of a fight." "Captain, over here," Rodriguez called from across the way. Jake rushed over. Rodriguez pointed to a partially intact building. "This looks like a government facility. We might find answers inside." They entered cautiously. The corridors were dark, cluttered with debris. But at the center was a grand chamber with crystal walls, the Valerin Council Chamber. Dr. White discovered a functioning computer terminal, her skills in alien tech proving invaluable. "Pulling some data." "Wait, oh no." Back at the general, her face grim. "We warned them. We told the council that if they touched our allies, there'd be consequences." President Mitchell sat at the head of the table, his hands folded tightly. He was a calm man, but now his eyes burned with fury, and now they'll see those consequences, he said quietly. "What's the status of our fleet?" Admiral Grant replied immediately. "We have 30 warships ready to deploy, including the Defiance. Another 20 are being prepped. But we're still outnumbered by the Council's armada." General Thompson grunted. "Oh, numbers don't matter. Our ships are faster, stronger, and our soldiers are angrier. That's more than enough." Secretary Kim looked up from her notes. "We need allies. The Council killed the Valerins just for being our friends. Other species might be afraid to stand with us now." The President shook his head. "Then we remind them who we are." Humans don't abandon their friends, and we don't back down from bullies. He stood, his presence commanding the room. Send a message to the council. Tell them Earth is coming. They wanted to make an example. Fine. Let us show the galaxy what humans do when you murder their friends. Everyone in the room stood. As well, their resolve hardening. The war was no longer a distant threat. It was personal. Back on the Defiance, Captain Jake Morrison stood in his quarters, staring out at the stars. He held a small photo of his daughter, smiling beside Valerin children, their crystal skin glittering in the sun. Jake's jaw tightened. Pay for this, he whispered to himself. I swear it. Far across the galaxy, the council had no idea what was coming for them. Sharp mandibles and black chitin armor. This was War Leader Srath of the Vexil Dominion. Together, they represented the Galactic Council's ruling triumvirate. High Counselor Rex spoke first, his voice cold and formal. People of Earth, we warned you. Your kind is reckless, violent, and unstable. The Valerins were given many chances. To distance themselves from you, they refused. Their destruction was necessary to maintain galactic order. Diplomat Gerb's tentacles waved slightly as he spoke in a slimy, mocking tone. We offer you a choice. Surrender all military forces and submit to council oversight or face annihilation, just like your crystal-skinned pets. Then War Leader. Srath clicked his mandibles and hissed. Resist, and we will turn your planets into graveyards. You have 48 hours to decide. The message ended, leaving the room in heavy silence. General Thompson stood up, fists clenched. I've heard enough. That was a declaration of war. President Mitchell looked around the room, gauging each face. Everyone, take a good look at what we're up against. These are the creatures who murdered 15 million innocents. Admiral Grant's voice was steady. Sir, we can activate Project Sleeping Giant immediately. And we can mobilize the Defiance fleet within 24 hours. Jake Morrison stood tall, his eyes burning with determination. Let me lead the first strike, Mr. President. Let me show them what happens when you threaten Earth and slaughter our friends. President Mitchell nodded slowly. You'll have your chance, Captain. He turned to the others. Prepare everything. We are not surrendering. Not today. Not ever. Rachel Kim whispered. What about the civilians? Our colonies. We can't protect them all. Dr. White answered. We'll move as many as we can to the hidden colonies, but we'll fight to protect every world. The president looked back at the dark screen where the council's threats had just played. Earth doesn't bow. If you come for us, we'll make sure you regret it for the rest of your short lives. Everyone stood.
Ow.
The decision was made. War was coming.
Ow.
And this time, humanity wouldn't just fight to survive. Ask ChatGPT. Revolutionizing Earth's weapons, ships, and defenses. She knew it wouldn't be enough alone, but it would give humanity a fighting chance. President Mitchell's speech echoed across the stars. To the council, we have only this to say. You murdered our friends. For that, we will never forgive you. For that, we will never forget. And for that, we are coming. Captain Jake Morrison, aboard the UE Vengeance, stood before his crew. Prepare for launch. We're taking the fight. To them, Admiral Grant gave the order aboard the UE Liberty. All fleets, advance to Phase 1. The Council wanted war, they'll get it. On the ground, General Thompson watched defense grids power up across every continent. Ow. Energy shields shimmered faintly in the sky. Weapons hummed with readiness. Dr. White stood before a massive crystal reactor deep underground, her team finalizing the last calibrations. We're ready, sir, she reported to command. When the Council arrives, we'll be waiting. In hidden colonies, settlers and soldiers prepared in secret, knowing that if Earth fell, they would be the last hope of humanity. Across the galaxy, some species watched in fur, others in hope. Small oppressed races listened to Earth's broadcast and whispered of rebellion. The spark of resistance had been lit. President Mitchell concluded his speech, his voice unwavering. This is not just humanity's fight. This is the fight of every species that dreams of freedom. The Council believes we will break. Instead, They will learn what happens when you push humans too far. Earth stands. The Free Species Alliance stands. We will not stop until the Council is ashes. The broadcast ended. The countdown to war had begun. The galaxy would never be the same. Ruins of New Valerin. Hope stirred in his chest. Good, Jake replied over the com. Tell them to keep going. Council wanted a fight. They're going to get one from every corner of the galaxy. Admiral Grant's voice carried pride and determination. Understood, Captain. Earth is no longer alone in this war. On Earth, President Mitchell stood in the same war room where the first decision had been made. Around him, the holographic map of the galaxy now blinked with new colors indicating worlds where uprisings had begun, where freedom fighters were striking back. Dr. White stood beside him, reporting the latest. Sir, thanks to the Sage Collective, our engineers have increased the efficiency of our crystal reactors by 200%. Our ships are faster, our weapons stronger. Like a Cathra navigation, we can strike anywhere, anytime. And the mollusk bioweapons? The President asked. Already integrated into our boarding teams, Dr. White confirmed. Council ships aren't prepared for weapons that are alive. Mitchell watched the growing storm across the galaxy. They called us primitives, he muttered. Let's see how they handle primitive fury. Meanwhile, on the UE Vengeance, Captain Morrison stood before his crew. The ship was now upgraded beyond anything humanity had ever imagined. Valerin. Crystal cores, Cathra-nav, systems, Sage AI, and mollusk weaponry. Jake addressed his people. We're no longer just fighting for Earth or for the Valerins. We're fighting for every species the Council ever crushed under its boot. We fight so that no child, human or alien, has to grow up in fear again. The crew cheered, their resolve unshakable. The war had changed. It was no longer a single world struggle, it was a galactic rebellion in humanity. The species the Council had dismissed as too young, too violent, too primitive was now leading it. The revolution had begun. Shock. To the Council commander, he had never heard such defiance, not from any species. His name was Admiral Koraz, a brutal tactician known for crushing rebellions. But even he saw the truth now. His fleet was in disarray, surrounded by enemies he didn't understand and couldn't predict. This is Admiral Koraz, his voice crackled back. We do not surrender to primitives. Admiral Grant answered coldly, then you'll die with the rest of the tyrants. Captain Morrison's voice joined in over the coms. For New Valerin, for every child you murdered, the Free Species Alliance attacked with renewed fury. The Sage Collective ships unleashed quantum barrages that folded space around the Council vessels, tearing them apart without warning. Mollusk bioships latched onto enemy hulls, corroding them from the inside with living weapons. Struck with lightning-fast hit-and-run attacks, their ships darting in and out like shadows. Human warships upgraded with Valerin crystal technology delivered punishing blows that the Council's defenses couldn't withstand. One by one, the mighty Council warships were destroyed or disabled until only the dreadnought Eternal Dominion remained. Jake Morrison led the final assault personally. Lock all weapons on the Dominion. Fire on my mark. All ships, weapons ready, Admiral Grant confirmed. Mark. Storm of energy, missiles, and crystal-powered beams slammed into the Dominion. The colossal ship held for a moment, defiant, then its core ruptured in a brilliant explosion. Lighting up space like a newborn star, silence followed. Then cheers erupted across the fleet coms. The third enforcement wing of the Galactic Council was gone. On the UE Vengeance, Jake watched the wreckage drift by. We did it, he whispered. Admiral Grant's voice came through, steady and proud. We've won the Battle of Kepler's Gate. The Council will feel this loss across the galaxy. Dr. White sent her final report from the hospital ship. Minimal casualties on our side. And the crystal systems worked beyond our best projections. The Valerins, they're still with us. Jake Morrison smiled, the faces of New Valerin's dead children still vivid in his mind. We'll rebuild their cities one day. We'll make sure their story is never forgotten. The message spread quickly across every world, every colony, every occupied system. The Council had been defeated. The galaxy was changing. And the revolution was far from over. Bioships and dozens of Sage collective war forms stood ready, their weapons powered and shields raised. For the first time in history, so many species fought side by side not as subjects, but as equals defending the dream of freedom. Jake's voice carried across the fleet comes. This is Captain Morrison. Look at that armada. They think numbers will scare us, but they forget who we are. We're the species who lost our friends on New Valerin. We're the ones who never forget. We're the ones who never forgive. Admiral Lisa Grant stood on the bridge of the UE Liberty. All ships prepare for engagement. Defensive grids active. Project Sleeping Giant is online. On Earth, General Mike Thompson activated the planet's full defense network. From hidden bunkers beneath mountains to satellite arrays in orbit, Earth bristled with weapons powered by Valerin crystals and Sage technology. Dr. White, in her lab deep underground, monitored the reactors that powered Earth's energy shields. Stronger than anything seen before. We're holding at full capacity, she reported. They'll have to burn the stars themselves to break through. The sky above Earth shimmered as the first wave of Council ships opened fire. Beams of destructive energy rained down, but the shields held firm, turning the attacks back or dissipating them harmlessly. Fire all batteries, Admiral Grant ordered. The Alliance fleet responded in force. Human warships surged forward, firing missiles and energy weapons enhanced by alien science. Cathra ships darted between the massive enemy vessels, tearing at their vulnerable engines. Mollusk bioships latched onto the hulls of Council dreadnoughts, dissolving armor with living acids. Sage collective war forms struck silently, collapsing space to blink entire enemy ships into oblivion. Jake Morrison led the charge, his ship moving like a phantom through the chaos. Target Hegemon Prime, he ordered. Cut off the head, and the body dies. Commander Rodriguez's voice chimed in. They're sending their elites to block us, and we'll cut through them, Jake replied grimly. The battle raged for hours. Sky above Earth was alight with fire, debris, and death. Ships on both sides exploded, leaving trails of wreckage. Yet, despite their numbers, the Council was faltering. On the bridge of the Liberty, Admiral Grant smiled grimly.
Ow.
They thought they'd break us. They didn't realize we'd been preparing for this for years. Dr. White monitored a breakthrough in the reactors. We can channel more power to the fleet weapons now. Let's give them everything we've got. At the climax of the battle, the UE Vengeance broke through to Hegemon Prime, leading a squadron of human and Sage ships. Fire. Everything, Jake ordered. A blinding storm of energy and missiles struck the space station. Shields buckled and failed. Then the core detonated in a colossal explosion, visible even from Earth. Hegemon Prime was gone. The Council fleet broke, their command station destroyed. The remaining ships retreated in chaos. On Earth, cheers erupted from every city, every base, every colony humanity had survived. The Free Species Alliance had won. Captain Morrison stood on the bridge of the Vengeance, watching the retreating enemy. It's over, he said quietly. President Mitchell's voice came through the fleet-wide broadcast. Today, Earth stands free. The galaxy stands free. The age of the Council is over. A new era begins. No. Era of unity, freedom, and friendship. And far beyond, in every corner of the galaxy, oppressed peoples looked to the stars. Not in fear, but with hope. The galaxy had learned the truth. Ask ChatGPT. Approached Hegemon Prime. Energy output at maximum, she reported. We have one shot at this, Captain. Jake's voice was steady. Then let's make it count. The UE Vengeance led the charge, crystal weapons glowing with brilliant blue light. The Allied ships followed, their engines burning bright as they pierced the final defensive lines. Explosions rocked the station's surface, but it held until the Sage collective ships appeared. Shimmering between dimensions, the Sage vessels focused their impossible energy on the same spot. The Valerin crystals responded, amplifying the strike beyond what any one species could achieve. A beam of pure energy formed by the combined might of 6 civilizations lanced through the heart of Hegemon Prime. The station's core ruptured in a cataclysmic explosion. A shockwave of energy expanded, tearing the once mighty space station apart, piece by piece. High Counselor Rex's final screams echoed through the coms before vanishing in static. Target eliminated, Dr. White confirmed, her voice tight. With awe, Hegemon Prime is gone. Across the battlefield, Council ships faltered. With their command station destroyed and their leadership dead, they broke ranks and fled. Cheers erupted across every Alliance ship. On Earth, in bunkers and cities, people wept with relief and joy. Admiral Grant's voice rang through the fleet. The battle is won. The Council has fallen. President Mitchell addressed the galaxy once more, his image broadcast to every world. Let this day be remembered. The day the galaxy chose freedom. The day fear died. Captain Morrison stood on the bridge of the Vengeance, watching the remains of Hegemon Prime drift through space. He remembered Elder Zardel's last message, the crystal cities of New Valerin, and the friends they lost. "We did it, Commander," Rodriguez said quietly beside him. Jake nodded. "For the Valerins. For all of us." The Council was gone, but the work of building a new, free galaxy was just beginning. Ask ChatGPT's family. Let their sacrifice remind the galaxy that friendship is worth any price. Captain Jake Morrison stood before the monument, silent. Beside him stood Commander Rodriguez, Dr. White, Admiral Grant, and President Mitchell, who had come to witness the rebirth of the world that started it all. Jake touched the monument's crystal surface and whispered, "We kept our promise. You're not forgotten." President Mitchell addressed the gathered crowd of humans, Valerins, and dozens of other species. "Today we remember those who gave their lives for a future they would never see. But we also celebrate what they left behind, Galaxy United. Not by power, but by understanding, respect, and friendship." Cheers echoed through the crystalline streets. The monument stood, not as a grave marker, but as a Bakuna promise that the cruelty of the Council would never return, and that the age of freedom had truly begun. Somewhere far above, the stars shone brighter, as if watching and remembering. Ask ChatGPT.